Hey everybody, welcome back to My Wings of Refuge. I'm excited today, y'all. We've had so much ice and crazy cold temperatures outside, but this week, or actually today, it is gorgeous and I'm so excited. But I'm also excited because this is the time of year I don't have a lot of produce coming out of the gardens. Now you've seen our microgreens, you've seen some of the lettuces, which are kind of just sitting there right now. And so microgreens are the biggest thing we have coming out right now. So I still like to do some baking. And so where I don't have a lot of fresh produce coming out, I'm still going to bake a pie. So I get asked often about pie crust. And I do have a favorite. I have a go-to pie crust that I use for everything pie. That means chicken pot pie, rabbit pie, my French silk pies, which I'm actually going to make tonight, and an interesting pie we're going to be making next week that piques everyone's interest. But today, it's all about the crust. So I want to show you how I make my pie crust, and I am not the best decorator by any means. This is a simple, just pie crust, but this is how I make mine. And like I said, this is my go-to for everything pie. So let's get started. I normally use my food processor. And just as I was getting out my food processor, it broke. So I'm going to use the blender today and hopefully it'll work for us. So we're only going to make one pie crust. Now, normally I'll always make two. I make two and I either make two pies and often share them somewhere, whether it be the office or family, something, or I often make two and you can easily freeze one so that you have one for later. But today, because a lot of people want to make just one pie, and so if you want to make just one pie, then this is the recipe you would use. If you're making a pot pie where you want to, or a pie that has the top crust on it, be sure to double this recipe, okay? So we're starting off with 1 cup of flour. You can use all-purpose flour or bread flour, either one, okay? Then we want a half a teaspoon of salt, okay? Then we want 3/4 of a stick of very cold butter, real butter. I hope someday when my East Frisians kick it into gear, we'll be having some real butter. But in the meantime, we're just going to cut tiny little chunks right into our blender. Preferably a food processor. But this should work. Okay, so now we're going to put our lid on. And this has the little open spout here too, because we want to be able to add some cold water. I have here 4 tablespoons of cold water, but we're going to start our blender. Hopefully you have a food processor. And we're going to add 1 tablespoon very slowly until we watch that consistency, because it depends on a lot of things, humidity in the air, moisture in your home. So it doesn't always take 3, it doesn't always take 4, but somewhere in between 3 and 4 until you have the right consistency of dough. And you'll see as it's spinning, it'll start to form a ball. Okay, I pulsed it a few times and I'm going to add a tablespoon of water. Close my little lid. Okay, it's trying to form and I've just got a tiny bit left, so I'm just going to add that. Okay, so we have our dough here, and we'll sprinkle some of this, and then we're just going to press it. Like this. And then I'm going to take this that's on my hand, rub this really good on my rolling pin, and then we want to start rolling it. So I am a cast iron fan, and I do almost everything in cast iron. We're just going to lay this right over our pie. I'm going to make sure it's down inside. And now, any decorating or trimming that you want to do, I'm going to use a little knife. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this. Ta-da! Then you have all of this dough here. If you want to do anything fancy or decorative for your pie, here's your excess to do that with. So we'll do that momentarily. In the meantime, if you want to do a decorative edge here, you can. You can pinch it. You can leave it just as it is, or you can try this. Okay, so we're going to press this out a little bit again. Again, you don't have to do this part. I just want to make my little pie a little bit pretty. This does not have to be perfect by any means. Okay, I have these cute little gadgets here. It actually goes on a wheel, but I like doing it this way better. So you can do it however you like, but we're going to add some little hearts for trim pieces around our pie. Can you see that? Ta-da! Next, we just want to cut these right through here just to get off the excess, and then cut these enough to divide them. There's one piece. We can literally just add them to our edges. Ta-da! So you want to take your fork and poke just a few holes there in the bottom. Now we're just going to set this in the refrigerator for about 15 minutes while our oven preheats. So our beautiful pie crust is ready to go in the oven. And we're going to set our timer for 15 minutes. Our timer just went off, and it's time to shut off the oven and pull out our pie. Our cute little hearts. Aren't they so cute? We're just gonna let everything go completely cool, and then this is for a pie that is going to be cold or doesn't have to be cooked, okay? So a pie that you're going to cook, you don't have to bake first. You would put your contents in and then bake it all together. You follow me? This is what's called a blind pie, because pie doesn't know what's in it. It's blind. It doesn't have a clue. So this is a pie crust now that is fully cooked, because the pie I'm going to put in here does not have to be cooked. If you look back at one of our previous videos at my French silk pies, you'll see exactly how I made that, and that is fantastic. It's our secret. Well, looky there, isn't that gorgeous? This is a French silk pie. Look back at one of my videos. I'll link it here in the corner, and that'll give you the recipe for this French silk pie. But now you have the recipe for the crust. Don't forget, this crust is fantastic and universal. Just double it up whenever you want to make a pie with the top on it, or a pot pie or anything of that nature. So, but don't forget too, if you're making a pie like this one where the toppings are cold and does not need to be cooked, cook the crust first. And if it's a pie that needs to be cooked, we'll do one of those next week. Then we'll cook it all together. This is a pie for my Valentine. Happy Valentine's Day. See you next week.